employee that occurs through the year. So, performance management is not a task, it is an ongoing process and which is continuous. It's not for an activity or which is not a performance measure, but we have to take it as a communication between a supervisor and an employee that occurs throughout the year or years in support of accomplishing the strategic objectives of the organization. So here we don't consider the performance of an individual for not only for the performance measure, it is for organizational objective, because performance management is a strategy which supports the employers and employees together to work and then perform well in the organization, so that the results are very positive. And then whenever we have communicated, it includes the clarifying expectations, and we can set the objectives with the help of your employees and etc. And then we can identify the goals of individuals as a whole group, and we can provide the feedback. And this feedback and your work, everything which will be reviewed by the top management, and they will give a performance report. And based on that performance you will get some packs like a promotion or incentives or any other facilities which are provided by the organization. In mostly we can get a financial or non-financial rewards as well, and it depends on the performance of the employees, and the performance is depend on the supervisors and employees relationship also. So here we go with the scope. What is the scope? It is a clear job description. So we develop a clear job description, so that if the job description is very clear, so that we can easily identify key result areas, and then we can perform well. So which is one of the key performance indicator, and every employee has to perform well with their action plan. And if they identify the key result areas in easy manner, it means that they are very expertise in their job. And if they have some people, they are unable to identify the key result areas, that's the reason they can perform below expectation or equivalent to expectation given by the company. So we have the expectation indicators, so that every employee, they want to reach either expectations or rather than the expectation. So that if it is more than the expectation, employer will very happy. And then if it is below the expectation, the employer may not be happy, but it is a minimum work done by the employee. So that it depends on the job description. If it is unclear, so that we cannot identify which is our key area and we cannot perform well. That's the reason it is one of the key indicator for performance. And second one is selection process. So it is a selection of right set of people by implementing an appropriate selection process. In selection process, we have to choose the right people for a right task at a right time. So this is a simple formula that we can select the people, and we can give a good compensation packages to these people if they are eligible, and then nominally they are appointed, so that the people can perform well. So when the compensation package is good, if you are selecting a good person, so that everything is good. If you are selecting not a good person, is not appropriate, so that we have some problems. It may not, we may not get the expected performance from the employee. So that is another scope. And the next one is the requirements and performance standards. So we have to negotiate the requirements and performance standards for measuring the outcome and the overall productivity against the predefined benchmark. So every organization have them set up benchmarks, and then which are predefined, so that every organization, they have to give a particular target, or else, they show they give their expectation on each and every employee, or else as a whole. So based on these predefined benchmarks, the employees should reach these benchmarks, or else they want to go for more than these benchmarks. So the productivity level will increase from one level to another level. If there is a growth in productivity level, obviously the organizational effectiveness is more. If the productivity level has decreased from one level to the below level, so that we cannot afford more employees, and then the organizational effectiveness may decrease. So that's the reason the company has given a benchmark, and then they always give it as a motivation to lead these particular employees towards the organizational objectives. For example, if an employee produces 110, it is a benchmark. So 110 is only one person achieved the output. So for the next time, every employee they reach up to 108 or 107, but nobody reaches 110. So every time the employer or supervisor they have given that particular benchmark to every employee, and then they motivate towards that 110. So that is the reason we have to negotiate. We have to negotiate. We have to give, if it is a necessary of working condition, change of working condition, if it requires any other tools or a new methodology. So everything we have to give it to your employees, and then we can get the expected output. All right. And the next one is providing continuous coaching and feedback during the period of delivery of performance. So one more thing, and the most important for getting the expected performance from your employee, it depends on how you coach them. It is not an activity, it is a continuous coaching uh, that gives us a good feedback, as well as the employee has changed his behavior, and then the attitude levels may change, and then their dedication towards the work may improve, and they can offer a good output rather than your expectation. Sometimes we can get miracles with your employees, and it may depend on your coaching. Sometimes we bring a new coach from industries, those who are experienced and expertise in the same product or else the same industry, so that if it is the same platform, so that we bring those particular coach or else the experts, so that they will give more inputs to the employees, and then we can get a more performance. The delivery of the performance here, that depends on the coaching given by the employer or else the company. So most of the cases, supervisor or manager are continuously monitoring, but it is a routine and then traditional coaching. So here, if you want to improve the performance level of your employee, it requires an expertise coaching, so that these people may have delivered more rather than the regular outcome. So that is the reason a continuous coaching is required. And the last one is the training and development. We know well the importance of training and development, and most of the people they trained, but they are unable to develop. Here the thing is, you trained because of your company's objective, and you develop your industry and yourself and your objective. So you have to develop based on the training given by your employer or else the industry. Sometimes the ministry of the industry or the government has taken initiative to give development programs of training. You need to undergo the training, and then you can get a new skills. That is the main objective of the government or else industry, to train the industrial training programs. So these ITPs are really useful for uh, uh, to reach the higher standards in your industry. So if new technology comes, they will give a training program. You just attend, and then you learn something. So if you know how to implement effectively, implement and you can develop your own. So the improvement starts with your learning. That's the reason the training and development requires, uh, and the people they want to learn new things, and then they can effectively develop themselves, as well as for they develop the organization. So it is very easy, so that it is easy to maintain these employees at a longer time. So retention is also very easy when you are conducting training programs to your employees, right? And next one is discussions and evaluating employees. So every quarterly you have to evaluate your employee performance, and you have to check whether their performance plans are on what basis the performance plans they prepared, and then how can they reach, and then what is their output. Everything we have to evaluate. And then here you don't evaluate the employee or not only based on the performance. So you have to discuss with the employee, so that some other inputs like their personal feelings or personal opinions or individual or group opinions may deliver in that particular discussion, so that the company will benefiting the employees towards this particular discussion. For example, for example, some particular employees they may not work because the the working condition of the organization. If you made a discussion with these employees, they may give that input. So that based on that, we may change the working condition, or we can arrange one more requirements, so that they feel very happy, and then they can perform well. So here every time we have to discuss with our employees, and then evaluate their performance is the best criteria rather than other things. You don't depend on technical knowledge or technically taken the performance measures. And then apart from technically taken performance measure, we have to discuss orally or else face to face with the employees, so that we can get more inputs that we can implement for the next level. So next one is excel in their jobs. Excel in their jobs. We know very well if the compensation and reward system is good, and then if it is motivated the employees, and then they definitely excel in their jobs by achieving the set of standards that is given by the organization, as well as they can perform well with their own performance plans, rather than sometimes they can exceed the benchmarks which are set by the organization and the previous persons. So it is simply happened with the compensation and reward system. The reason for implementing compensation and reward system too is for to excel the jobs. So we can easily get the performance, and then we can improve the performance level. We can get a benchmark performance of the employees. So it can be happened through only compensation and reward management. For example, if you take IT industry, if you're a team leader, they can earn more rather than the team members, but they have to show their performance level. Sometimes the project have a time period of 6 months. The team will submitted the project within 5 months, so that the company has given a reward, and they have given some pecs, so that these people have set a benchmark, and then the next one may not reach or may reach. It depends in future, but it shows that the excel of the performance of the people. So that type of yeah, compensation and rewards are required for employees to excel themselves. And the next one is promotional or career development. It was very important aspect, but the most of the employees they cannot focus on promotional career development, because they are very happy with the existing job and the existing designation. That is the reason these people they are not much focusing on promotional career development. But some people, those who are related to why theory why, which is given by McGregor, they are always positive, and then they will focusing on self development also. They learn themselves, and then they will focus on self development, especially when the promotional criteria, the organization consider the performance of the individuals. At the same time, they want to check the career development opportunities of the people. For example, if you want to promote a person in a HR department, one person he is a degree graduate, but he has 15 years of experience in personal department, and another one is just 3 years of experience in HR, and he is an MBA HR graduate. So it is a question, who will be been promoted. So simple thing is, the company depends on career development. That's the reason they give the MBA HR people, those who are having minimum experience of 3 years. So here the career development opportunities for MBA HR people is more rather than the degree with 15 years of experience is less. So, but some traditional organizational, they will give preference to the experienced people, and then they will promote only degree plus 15 years old employee. So it may happen in traditional, whereas in modern organization they will check career development opportunities. Definitely, these people benefited the organization. Now, not only organization, they benefit the industry also. That is the reason these MNC companies, or else the modern companies, they give and they support. Sometimes they guide the employees also. That is happened with top career development. And next one is performing exit interviews. So it is exit interview. It means when you go for resignation, or else when you want to quit from your organization. Again, we have an interview. This interview is called exit interview. This is for understanding the employee's discontentment and thereafter exit from an organization. What are the reasons for exit from the organization? What about their understanding discontentment, and then why they are leaving the organization, and then what are their expectations, and what they met, and then how the relationships maintained by the organization with the employee. Everything they have to take the feedback, and then finally, if they are happy with the reasons given by the employee, then only they can give no objection certificate to quit from the organization. So this is one type of development activities for changing your existing principles, or else the existing methodologies. It will be benefited for all the people, right? At the whole, we have simply said it is the clear job description is given a clear key result area, so that we can perform well. And then if you want to select a right people at a right place, so we can easily reach the expected performance from the employees, and the predefined benchmarks which are very helpful for motivating your employees towards the organizational objective, and continuous coaching and feedback which are during the period of delivery of performance. We can provide with continuous coaching, and then training and development programs which are really effective for the development for the organization as well as the individual, so that the organization effectiveness will improve. And then discussions and evaluating employees, which can uh, give if you quarterly perform these evaluations, so that the employees will perform well, and then based on that performance plans, they will go with some discussions with supervisors or else managers, so we can get expected deliveries. So these are all come under our scope. And next we come to the objectives of performance management. What are the objectives, why we study the performance management? First one is to enable the employees towards achievement of superior standards of work performance. So even though if it is a traditional organization, every organization they want to show, or they want to proven that they are maintaining superior standards, and then they can have superior employees in their organization. So every organization they want to set these objectives, and they enable the employees towards these superior standards. So it is not a simple task. When you want to show that you are in superior standards, it only speaks about the performance of your organization. So the performance is related to the employees' work, and then the output given by your employees. So that if you have a superior employee, so that the results are superior, so the standards are superior. If the employees are not superior, you cannot get superior performance from your employees. So yeah, based on your input only, you can get output. That is the reason you have to study the performance management, and how can we improve our employee standards, and then how can we take in consideration of employees and other people to work well and get more performance. and to help the employees in identifying the knowledge and the skills required for performing the job efficiency. So it is a drive that focusing on performing the right task in the right way. So here we have right people in your organization, but the right tasks are not given by the superior. It may be a different from your existing streams, so that they cannot afford well. So here the employees in identifying the knowledge and the skills required for the job. So if you match the skill and then your job, so that you can perform well. For example, if you take a HR position, MBA HR or else PG diploma in HR, they can perform well. Even though some organization they recruit or they can consider the BTech graduate as the HR. So we have a some difference between the BTech HR and then MBA HR. These two are different. So anyway, the performance level is different from one level to another level, one person to another person. It may depend on how manner you match your knowledge and skills to the job. It is a very important aspect in performance management, right? Boosting the performance of the employees by encouraging employee empowerment, motivation, and implementation of an effective reward mechanism. So simple thing, we can reward mechanism, which we covered in scope of performance management. And here we have another thing, that is encouraging employee empowerment. So that every organization, they try to empower their employees, so that if employees are empowered, organization will empower, so they can give best performance, as well as for the whole industry also it is very useful. You don't think about or not constant to your organization, you think about your industry and then nation. So it is only possible with employee empowerment. Very rare, or very rare case only your manager or else your management has given an opportunity to show your courage, and then they can allow your new methodologies, ideologies in your practical orientation. But whereas within the available ideology or else available techniques, you have to perform, and then you can complete your task, right? Next one is, it is a two-way system. So it is a two-way system. It is not one way, because performance is dependent on employer and employee relation. And then every job they have their clear expectations, and the roles and responsibilities are clearly mentioned. And then they will provide a regular and a transparent feedback for every employee performance. And they every time they have to give a coaching. It is a continuous coaching, so that we can easily get the expected outcomes. But here, if you improve or promote a two-way communication system, it will be more beneficial, and then within a short span we can get good results. Next one is identifying the barriers. For every performance, it requires a barrier-free environment. And then if it is a continuous monitoring and coaching development interventions by the management, so that we can easily identify the barriers, and we can resolve it. So it is one of the key objective of performance management. And then promoting personal growth and advancement in career of employees by helping them in acquiring the desired knowledge and skills. We know very well, every organization, they only consider the employees and their output. But if you promote the personal growth of the employees, so that they feel very happy, and then they're delighted with the organization and then organizational commitment, so that these employees also show the same commitment towards the organizational objective, so that they can work more and then perform well. So here the the main important objective is, if you promote your organizational commitment, so that employee promote their personal uh, growth, and then they can offer the more work also. So these are all the objectives of performance management. The session is ended within 7 minutes, so that some people they raise the hand, and then I can who's the Yes. Yes, please, if you have any queries, please raise your hand so that we can discuss, because it is a theory, and then we will have an examples that we will show for the next class onwards. So once the theory is over, we can go for the case studies, which are the practical exposure. So before going to that, you need to interact, or you can, if you have any queries or else if you have any questions, please raise your hand so that we will discuss. So here you are MBA grads, and most you prefer to discuss with your faculty so that it will be benefited. Whatever we said in objectives of performance, we have uh, one thing, that is employee empowerment. Like a student empowerment is also very important for the organization, so that it will benefit it for the society also, right? So we have only 4 minutes of time. So once again, I repeat once the definition. The definition is, it is an ongoing process of communication between a supervisor and an employee throughout the year in support of accomplishment of strategic objectives of the organization. That is the definition of performance management. So it is a continuous process, and it is a communication between a supervisor and employee, because without communication between the supervisor and employee, you cannot get results. That is the reason we have a proper communication between the supervisor and employee. So here the communication process includes clarifying expectations. Employees, they have their own expectations, company, they have their own expectations. If you match these expectations, so that it is very easy to set our objectives. And then if once the objectives are very clear and identified, so that we can work, and then we can get the feedback, and then we can review the results. It's a simple thing. Everything should be very transparent, and then there is no bias in this particular reviewing or something, because today we are in a technological world, and then everything is through software, so that it is very easy to communicate whatever the things or whatever the information is very possible, right?